91.3 FM.
In 2017, in September of 2017, than they had the year before, which meant that the average, that 100,000 that were dropping out, suddenly now were in a position to go to school. And the system worked well. But then having opened the door, you then have now to prepare yourself for even bigger and bigger numbers going down the road. So this year, the figure of 90,000 doubled, became 180,000 plus more than the averages that had been going through before. And we were faced with the decision that either we go back on our promise because of the numbers, and that the existing infrastructure in our secondary school system will not be able to absorb the numbers, or we would have to have some creative and intelligent way of being able to absorb this increased population. So we opted for the latter, that we were not going to go back on our commitment for senior high school education, but we would find an intelligent way of dealing with this rapid expansion of the population, whilst we're working at how to expand our infrastructure. I was always encouraged in this exercise by the attitude of our first president in the 1950s, when he launched the accelerated educational policy. I speak about Kwame Nkrumah and the CPP government then, where they took the view that the empowerment, the scaling up of the capacity of our young people was absolutely critical if we were going to make a fist out of education. And so implemented a policy which faced many of the same challenges, absence of infrastructure, even to some extent even of teachers, but nevertheless opening the gates for more and more young people to enter the system. I made the same decision, that yes, there may be limitations of infrastructure, but we can find an intelligent way to deal with it. And that is what we have done with the double track system, which has allowed us to be able to deal with this expanded population. There are many of you here in America, in several states here in America, who are familiar with this system of the double track system. There's nothing unusual or strange about it. It can work, it has worked here, and it is working already very well in Ghana. We have two streams of students
Class 91.3 FM.
The first year on a semester basis, the green group and the yellow group. The green group are the first to have gone.
You are listening to the Transformation Agenda series on education with Abraham
existing infrastructure. They are going to be able, all of them, to be able to go to school together. But in addition to that, another important decision has been made, which is to recruit over 8,000 more teachers than we had had the year before, so that this expanded population would also have the teacher component to be able to guarantee the minimum standards that we want. So that's the solution that has been found. I hear that there is a program to review it when people come back to power. They're going to review it. Well, that decision will be made by the Ghanaian people on the 7th of December 2020. But I'm alarmed by this concept of review, because anytime our political opponents have talked about reviewing our policies, it has been really a synonym for collapsing the policies. We remember the one premium for the NHIS, the one premium payment. The one premium payment not only did not materialize in the 8 years of their office, but then systematically the National Health Insurance System was degraded. And so perhaps it shouldn't be surprising, because they opposed it when it came in, just as also they opposed the free senior high school policy. So I'm very worried about the idea that the people who oppose the policy, if they have an opportunity to come to power, are going to review it. I suspect reviewing means collapsing it. That's my understanding. But I don't think that the Ghanaian people are going to allow this very important policy to be collapsed. So, together with the initiatives we've taken to expand our access to education, we've also done a lot of work in trying to get the National Health Insurance Scheme working again. And it is working. The car today.
I love how you love me. Treasure of my soul. I stand in awe of you. That's the difference for water. My soul longs for you. Forever and ever, yes. This heart beats for you. That's the difference for water.
This is a typical example, a bacteria. Now for bacteria, this is the genetic material. The coil structures in here, they are the genetic material. Then the purple colors within the cytoplasm is what we call the ribosomes. They are not membrane bounded. So these organisms have no membrane bounded organelle. When we talk about the bacteria, it is a prokaryotic cell.
Set out a clear plan to industrialize Ghana, and one of the key pillars of that agenda is to revamp and modernize TVET so that it becomes responsive to the needs of industry. Also hinged on this vision is the dream to make TVET aspirational amongst the youth. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the President's goal is to make Ghana a world-class center for skills development and a leading country in technical and vocational education training delivery in Africa, and also make skills acquisition aspirational for all Ghanaians. In relation to this, the MPP government over the last 5 years has worked to improve on governance and management by establishing the Commission for TVET and the Ghana TVET Service through the passing of Act 1023 and Act 1049, respectively, to enhance quality, expand access, and increase funding for TVET. We are consolidating our gains in the past years by keeping our promise. One way we are trying to achieve these ambitious yet achievable objectives are plans to construct 32 state-of-the-art TVET.
Sweet Jesus, yes, I'm dancing to your tune.
To the Transformation Agenda series on
There's a
education.
difference for what you do. My soul longs for you. Forever and ever, yes. This heart beats for you.
How can you improve the gross sexual enrollment ratio to 40% as the President has talked about if access to tertiary is blocked by loan guarantee regime?
Something more than gold. I've got something more than gold. Something more than gold. I've got something more than gold. If what I've got is Jesus, I've got something more than gold. I'll tell it to the world. Jesus is more than gold. More than gold, more than gold. I've got something more than gold. I'll tell
launch that policy, we're going to have a means to go to every village, every community, every urban area to identify these high performing and high potential students in every hamlet, in every school, and pull them into a pool, into STEM schools, 11 of which are already at various stages of completion. We believe that when we are able to identify these to be able to augment on the existing traditional education system, we would gradually be shifting to a point where we will fully harness our human capital. Currently, we have a human capital index of 0.44 as a country, which demands us to be able to improve to 0.88, just as we have some countries as South Korea, as Vietnam, Japan, and some other countries who some 30 years ago were of similar stature as us.
This heart beats for you. As the difference.
Right, so that was the voice of the Deputy Minister for Education, Honorable Reverend Tim Fojo.
Forever and ever, yes.
Earlier you heard the voice of the Minister for Education, Honorable Dr. Yao Ose Eluchum. We also heard the voice of the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Baumia. And then we listened to the voice of the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. This program is proudly sponsored by the Ministry of Education.
I've got something more than gold. I'm headed to this world. Jesus is more than gold.
All right, so it's now time for Educhum Diaries. And Vanessa, I almost said Vanessa. Vanessa, God bless you this morning for monitoring us from Word Radio GH. Lauren Shabebio is here with Educhum Diaries. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing very
You are
well.
blessed.
Amen.
Yesterday you went to MC a program.
Yes.
How was it?
Yesterday. It was on Thursday.
It was on Thursday, yes. How was it?
It was wonderful.
Wow. What was the program about?
It had to do with literacy. Thursday was the International Literacy Day.
Okay.
Yes, a day to create awareness on the need and importance for literacy.
Yeah.
Literacy is not really about just going to school and all that. It has a lot to do. Even with our environment, with our cultures, with everything.
Okay.
So yes, it was just to create awareness, and other countries and people have different ways of celebrating them. So as the first time in Ghana, we had to also celebrate it nationally.
Okay.
Although there has been the school levels, the circuit levels and all that, but this is the first of its kind for the national. Yes, so we had students from Basic 1, Basic 2, Basic 3.
Okay.
Yes, competing each other. They started from the schools, then the winners went to the circuit level, then the winners from the circuit went to the district level, and then those that won from districts went to the regionals, and then finally from the regionals was the nationals on Thursday. Yes, so it was really wonderful to see students, and I also saw one special student. He's physically impaired with the eye, and he's so brilliant.
Wow.
I was really, really impressed, and almost everybody there was impressed and surprised as well. Because so basically it was really educative and interesting.
We thank God. So talk to us. You have the minister's diary. What happened?
Yes, I think I always do have his diary.
Yeah.
It's always with me.
Yeah.
So yes, I'd like to say a good morning to everyone listening to us and those watching us on Facebook as well.
And YouTube.
Yes.
You
So
are
I think
listening
Facebook we have
to
Word
the
Radio,
Transformation
the
Agenda
Transformation
series on
Agenda, we have
education
class.
with Abraham
So
Ado.
please follow us there. So quite recently, I've been talking about the minister being on a listening tour.
Okay.
Yes, where he's been visiting some stakeholders in the education sector to seek for their views and all that. So he's been going to the Methodist Church, to the Pentecost. He went to the National Imam. And recently, he went to the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Yes, basically to also talk to them, speak with them, solicit for their ideas, and then how we can transform the education sector. I mean, it's been something that most countries or most ministers of education currently are treading on due to the sustainable development goals we currently have. I mean, with this fourth industrial revolution, it's education that is very key, very relevant. So everybody or every country is finding ways to improve upon their educational system. Yes, so basically we had the minister at the SDA church, the headquarters of the SDA church, yes, where he met a few leaders, and then they had deliberations on the performance of their schools. I mean, you would agree that SDA has a lot of schools in this country, from basic
and their
to
schools are good schools too.
Very good, very good. So they had deliberations on the performance of their schools and all that, and also how they can actually improve on the performance of the students. Yes, so it's been quite an interesting one. So he also further pledged
to the
his support to
Transformation
them.
Agenda series on
whatever
education
that would be
with
needed
Abraham Edu.
for them to improve on their
You
school
are
system
listening
and then the performance
to the
of the schools. He's ever ready to support. So we had him on that side, and then we also had him at the launch with his deputy, Reverend Johnny Tim Fojo. Yes, so we have this current project that is called the STEM Innovation.
Okay.
Yes, so it's basically a STEM project that has been launched by the minister and his deputy. This project
This
is
is a
just to,
Transformation Agenda
let me say,
series on
tap
education
into the
with
known and
Abraham
unknown
Edu.
potentials of students.
This
And
is a
this has to just
transformation-
do with the second cycle institutions. So we have the TVETs, we have the normal senior high schools, we have the senior high technicals. Yeah, so it's specifically to target them, to bring out a lot of initiatives that they have. You would agree that most of us have talents that we don't even know. So these are some of the things or some of the initiatives that the minister and then the ministry is coming up with to be able to tap into those talents and potentials of the students. Yeah, so this all is going to be under 3 themes.
Okay.
So these themes, whichever school or whichever students or group of students that come out with any invention or any initiative has to be under these 3 themes. Yes, and then let me just come up with. So the first theme has to do with the solar energy for sustainable socioeconomic development. And then we have the second being recycling for sustainable socioeconomic development. We have the third being coding and programming for sustainable socioeconomic development. So if you follow the themes, you realize that everything is centered on socioeconomic development. That means that whatever
You are
initiative you have to
listening
bring, I
to
mean,
the
we are trying to
Transformation
use
Agenda
the
series on
indigenous
education
materials that
with
we find
Abraham
around
Edu.
us. There's small gadgets and all that we can put together and bring out something that can change the environment, something to meet the needs of the indigenous people of this country. So yes, basically we've had him on that.
Okay.
So I think we are in the right direction. And
Great.
we hope for greater
We
things.
we hope for greater things. Thank you very much, Lauren Shabebio.
You're welcome.
Well, I want to say a good morning to Honorable Frank Foucault Abebio, Mr. Theophilus Boateng, Mr. Kojo Dechi, Mr. Paddy. God bless you. All right, so we're going to have a very beautiful discussion this morning. We'll be joined by, we'll have Reverend Father Ernest Ajiman, who is an Anglican priest at the Holy Trinity Cathedral and head chaplain of Achimota School. He is also the school's counselor. And our discussion today is going to be on parenting, the role that parents have to play in education of their children. There's something I would like to say. Now, I remember that I've heard a lot of people say that government said a parent shouldn't support the free senior high school policy. by paying fees and all that. That's true. What the president has done is to make sure that anything that will hinder a single soul from entering into the senior high school is removed. Like Jesus went to raise Lazarus and said, roll away the stone. Without the rolling away of the stone, Lazarus would have been there. So the president said, roll away the fees, the levies, take everything off, so that every child, every Ghanaian child, the word is every Ghanaian child, should have a free senior high school education. I've heard people say that PTA dues has been cancelled. Yes. What the minister said is, under no circumstance should any school put up a levy and say each one is paying 1,500, each one is paying 2,000 and all that. That parents can contribute to support the schools, but that should not be compulsory. And you don't sack a student, you don't harass a student because of that. No one is supposed to come under any pressure of paying anything when it has to do with the senior high schools. So if you're a parent and you belong to a PTA of any institution, please, when you go for your meetings and the school is asking you to contribute something, don't say because they said it's free, you are not going to contribute. You have to do something. Someone may contribute 100 Ghana. Maybe your strength will be 20 Ghana. Just do it. Don't take advantage of the fact that it's free. So when you have to contribute and support your school, you won't do it. You need to help your school. Some of the selected contributions is what the schools use sometimes to provide security, sometimes to do a few things. So yes, nobody is supposed to collect any money from you as in levy for anything in any senior high school, but then you can freely contribute something to support the school. All right, so today I'm going to do something very different. The phone lines are going to be activated right now. I want you to share with us what you think parents must do to support the education of their children. What you think parents must do to support the education of their children. Maybe you're a parent, you're a teacher. I will be very happy, and Ghanaians will be very happy to hear your voice on radio this morning. So you can call us on 0302 20 80 80. 7:40, we're going to be with Reverend Father Ajiman, who is the Anglican priest at the Holy Trinity Cathedral in Accra, to also share his views on this beautiful topic we're going to be discussing this morning. All right, so Laurentia, when you were in school, and you went to a boarding school, a day school?
Boarding. I've been to boarding school all my life.
Oh, great. How did you feel when your parents visited?
I like to say that every student always feels great when their parents visit.
You are listening,
especially on
to the
visiting
Transformation
days.
Agenda series
And
on
usually
education.
on a regular day, it's not so special.
Yeah.
It's more special when it's on the visiting days.
Okay.
Why? You see, we have a lot of students around, our friends, those that we are close with, those that we are not even close with. And just imagine being alone, and then you see all these parents coming in with baskets of food. I mean, my time it was basket. You see a parents coming, and then you see them with this huge basket with lots of food, banku and the rest. And I mean, you are just there. You just be looking at them. What if it was me that my mom was coming, and then she's coming with this basket full of food where I can share with my friends? It's just so nice.
Yeah.
So usually when I see them coming on visiting days, it was just so amazing for me. Like, I just feel so happy when I see them. Yes. So and I don't know why a parent would even decide not to visit his child or his child in school. It shouldn't be like that. At least fine. We have parents who have very busy schedules, so just find at least a day during one of the visiting days to visit. It can't be all the time. Yes, we understand, but at least once in a while during one of those visiting days, just take the time off and visit them. You see, there is this kind of excitement. I just don't know how to explain it to you, but it's an internal feeling that you can't take it out. You can't take it off. Having some, and sometimes you don't even know that they are coming. So you just be in the room, and then before you know, somebody will just come. Oh, hey, Laurentia, your mom is here. Your mom is looking for you. I mean, the way you just jump off your bed, grab something to wear, and then just go out to meet them. That alone is something. Just don't even come with food, don't come with anything, just your presence alone, and then somebody coming to tell me that, Laurentia, your mom is here, she's looking for you. It gives me some kind of excitement. You just hop off the bed, you just go. So I always had that feeling anytime my parents came around to visit. So I think it should actually be like that.
Yes, thank you very much. Another thing I think parents should also understand is that we live in a world that is very slippery. Life is very slippery.
Very.
And a lot of us parents don't have the time to sit with our children to have discussions with them. We've not taught our children about sex. We are very afraid, and we think we are very spiritual. So some of these things we'll not talk about it. We think that when you mention sex, or you trying to spoil the child, or you're trying to be negative. So this is how we think. Now your child goes to school. She's a girl. She's in Form 1. Understand this. There are some of these guys and these girls in schools, campuses, that were doing things before they got there.
Sure.
And now they've been caged in that sense. In a boarding school, there's a boundary. Don't cross it. Don't go out to meet boyfriends and stuff. We went to one of the schools to run an interview. I'm talking about the Bosumtri girls. And I asked the girls who are there, would you wish that we had boys with you? They said, no. Then I said, why? They said they will be disturbing us. And I asked them, so what sort of disturbance? They'll be calling out say. And then I said, what would that disturb you? And they said, yes, it worries us. We would think about them. We worry about them. So it tells you that as young as they are, they watch these movies and they see this young guy kissing a girl, and they read some of these novels and storybooks that are talking about Don't Leave Me, George. And the story in it is just like a video you're watching, telling you, and he held a girl, and he hugged her, and he kissed her, and they lay down, and see, all these things are videos that she's watching,
Yeah.
And so she goes to school and she asks herself, this girl said she has 2 boyfriends. Is there something wrong with me? Why is it I don't have? So I also have to go and find a boyfriend. And so you go and realize that this small boy will start pumping ideas into your daughters or whatever, and before you realize, she's been peer pressure, just dragged into something that she's not supposed to get. So it is when you visit that sometimes you sit when they tell mommy or daddy, there's a guy in this school, or sometimes you are sitting with your daughter and then you see a guy pass and you look at this, why do you know him? And sometimes the expressions will tell you that, no, my daughter is getting involved. You advise, you understand. But if you're a parent and you think, oh, says, yeah, what's in school? No, you're free. Then you go and leave your child at school. You don't visit. You don't even call the headmistress or the house-masters to ask about how your child is faring, whether she's okay. You don't communicate, because see, all the housemasters and headmasters, housemaster, they do their best. They do what they can. But you see, there are certain things that you as a parent need to also make an input. Call, let the teachers or the housemasters and mistresses have this feel that you care about your daughter who's in school. Yes, but for you to leave that child at school and not go there, you don't care whether she's doing well. Some of them have serious academic issues that they can talk to your mommy when they teach maths or science. I don't get it. Then now you can just go and consult maybe a teacher in that department. Say, look, my daughter is having this problem, my son is having, can you help? These are things you do. But when you just go and dump your daughter or son at a school and just come home and you won't call, you don't care, you not even send food and all that, I think it's worrying.
Yes, I think it's worrying. And see, in our Ghanaian society, we have issues when it comes to communication.
Yeah.
Now, when I say communication, personally, let me use myself as an example. Growing up, I didn't really have that mother having conversations with you when it comes to sex, when it has to do with, very things that they should have.
Okay.
Because although one way or the other, I don't think the communication or coming to wasn't helping though. But as we are advancing when it comes to education, when it comes to general knowledge,
okay,
when you compare the time, I think on Thursday when I emceed the program, after the whole competition, I just made a statement. I was just like, well, if we can't clap for these people, then because when I was their age, I don't think I had that kind of confidence or that kind of exposure for me to be able to stand in front of a crowd to talk, to even go to the extent of having spelling bees and all that. I didn't have that. So if we are having children who are being exposed now to things like this, and we can't sit them down to talk to them about things that has to do with some of these things, then we are going to worry them.
It's true.
Now, with us being exposed to all these LGBT and all the other things, people are trying to now be like, I know my right. So if, like you were saying that at a school where you had interview with some of the children and they were making comments like the boys, fine. Now as they are getting to know more about themselves, they are developing, their hormones are changing and all that. Even if it doesn't have to do with boys, it could as well be with girls.
Yes.
Now, if you're a parent and you don't get to know your child, you don't talk to them, you don't educate them when it comes to even these LGBT issues, eventually they would get involved in such things. Before you get to know, it's too late for you to control it for you to even educate them or talk to them about it. So it becomes a huge problem. Now, growing up where I didn't have that thing, you go to school, even as a JHS level, sometimes you go to school and you see your colleagues doing things, and one way or the other, they also work on your mind.
Yes.
So this instance where people are having boyfriends as at even JHS level and all that, and they ask you, do you have a boyfriend? You're like, no. And they just go like, why don't you have? Let me teach you this, let me teach you that, let me teach you that.
The Transformation
And it
Agenda
becomes a
series on
huge problem
education
in the end. So just recently, my junior sister, who is like 16, 17, I was having reports on her having a boyfriend and all that. So I just called her and I was like, you have a boyfriend. I've told you already that if you have any issues, talk to me.
Yeah.
If you can't talk to me, who are you going to talk to? So I had to call her and tell her all these things.
Yeah.
If you can't talk to me as a big sister, who are you going to talk to?
Yeah.
Your friend that you don't know. You don't know the kind of family she's coming from anything like that. So whatever issues you have, anything at all, just talk to me.
I like what you said before you continue. You know, when we were in school, there were this rich daddy, children that some people just befriended, and sometimes they won't go for classes. Some of them were smoking, some of them were doing stuff. Now, today, most of them are not in the country.
Not at
They've
all.
traveled out of the country. But the people that befriended them, who came from families that were, didn't have that much, are still living in this country because their results were bad. They couldn't go to the university. You see, some of them, they are stranded.
That's very true.
So sometimes your children may, have these friends who don't care about school that much because the father has got a company. Even if he doesn't go to you, your child is going to school because you want your child to be able to qualify to get a good job to take care of you in future.
That's true.
This guy's father has companies. Whether he goes to school or not, he still be working and earning money.
Yeah.
You get it. So what you're saying about friends and listening to them and before you write is very true.
It's very, very
It's very,
true.
very true. You're right with that.
True.
Yeah.
So when it doesn't happen that way, then it becomes a problem. So I had to always tell her that if you have any issues, open up to me. I am the best person for you to open up to. Nobody else. So gradually, it's like I'm seeing a change, an improvement when it comes to that.
Okay.
There are some, although right now it won't be so much, but gradually she's opening up a little bit to me. So I think it's working. So if you are a parent and you can't set your child down, I mean, don't be so strict anyway.
Yeah, okay.
If you become so strict, then especially when the child is already involved in whatever he or she is involved in. If the child is already involved in that and you decide to go so strict with punishments, with words being abusive or being so strict on them, then you are just going to mess them up. So it's you start from a gradual point. If you don't start from that point and you just decide to go boom on the child, in fact you are just scaring the person away. You are putting the child off like forever.
There's another thing, I like, the way you're saying it, because I think sometimes we actually push our children to hide things from us.
Yes, we do. I have a small boy. That's my sister's son. And recently, during their vacation, he came around. And when he came, during the first 3 days, he was very quiet. He hardly talked. So, I mean, it came to a point where anytime I'm going out, I go with him. When I'm going to the gym, I go with him. And everywhere I go with him. So, gradually, I realized that he started talking. So, he started saying things that has to do with where he is, his school, his madam, and all that. So he started opening up. And then I told her mother that I don't know what they are actually doing to him, but whatever they are doing to him, they should be very careful and cautious about it.
Yeah.
If you decide to be so strict on, so the mother was like, oh, he goes to school, he studies, he comes home to it's all about studying and all that. And I was like, okay, fine. He goes to school, I mean, like five days in a week. And you still expect him to come home for that 2 days and still be strictly on the book for 2 days.
For 2 days?
It's bad.
It's bad, okay. All right, so we have Reverend Father Ernest Ajiman, who is an Anglican priest at the Holy Trinity Cathedral and head chaplain at Achimota School and also the school counselor. Good morning, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Father. Please, how are you?
By the grace of God.
It's a blessing having you this morning on the Transformation Agenda series on education.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you and to the panelists and all your listeners and viewers. A very nice, powerful topic we're discussing this morning.
Thank you very much.
I'm grateful to be part this morning.
God bless you. All right. So, Father, you are at Achimota School. I mean, how do we feel as students when our parents don't show interest in our education? In your relationship with children, I mean, what are some of the things they tell you? What do you see when parents don't partaking in the education of their children?
Sure. This is very deep. You know, the child in school is made up of so many categories.
Okay.
The child in school is a psychological being. The child in school is emotional being, emotional person.
Okay.
The child in school is a spiritual person. The child in school is part of the environment. And is part of the academic area, that's the intellectual person.
Okay.
And all these 5 areas I've mentioned makes up how the
You
person.
are listening to the Transformation Agenda series on education with Abraham Edu.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah.
If one aspect of it is missing, it can affect the child.
Okay.
Children can hear you talk, but emotionally they are absent.
Wow.
Yes. Children can hear you talk, but the environmental challenges can affect the child's output. Children can hear you talk, but the psychological aspect can affect the child. And I cannot estimate it, but I can say about 60 to 75% come from home.
Okay.
It comes from home. In fact, the child before coming to school is from home.
Okay.
Yes. So anything that affects the house affects the child.
Okay.
Yes. So the output of parents' involvement, you see the success and achievement of that child. Therefore, that is why, I mean, if you look at all the angles, spiritually,
yes,
it is mandatory for parents to get involved.
Okay.
You know, it's biblical.
Okay.
That, I mean, you cannot let go the gift God has given you. That child is priceless. You can't put any tag on the child.
Okay.
Whether you wanted the child or it's unwanted child, that child is a gift from God. And that child must have the holistic life.
Okay.
To get the perfect human being that we want. And secondly, that child or the parent is your civic and legal responsibility of taking care of the child. Please, are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Yes. Therefore, if you take a child to school,
okay,
no matter the distance, and you neglect the child, you know, sometimes those of us in the boarding schools, you see this clearing.
Okay.
When it's time for visiting, and parents visit,
okay,
and you have other children who don't have any visits,
wow,
as it were, no persons visit them. You see them isolated.
Wow.
You see them probably on their bed still sleeping. You see them either doing something else. Those who are a bit sociable will join their friends to go to the other parents, so that they'll just mingle. You know, so that whatever is brought to the other colleagues, they will share.
Wow.
But you have children who are kind of so they will get themselves ostracized and say, in fact, I had 2 years ago, I had one child who told me after he was about to graduate, a day or two before he was about to leave the school. And he said, Father, do you know I have never gone for snack break before?
Wow.
For 3 years, the guy didn't go for snack break.
Wow.
And I thought he
You
likes
are
reading
listening
the Bible, or he likes
to the
learning.
Transformation Agenda series on education.
I didn't know he didn't have money.
Wow.
Yes. Anytime was, won't you go for break? I want to read my Bible. I want to read the news. I'm waiting for, sometimes my period will be a period break, then the period will continue again. So I can't go back, or I have to stay in the class and read my notes, or, you know, engage those who are there.
Yeah.
For 3 years, then I got to know, say, wow. So it is little money to buy snacks. This boy didn't have.
Wow.
But he didn't ask anybody. And we didn't know, because sometimes when the children leaving, they stay, sometimes they miss their morning devotion.
Okay.
So they do that in class, or when there's break time. Some of them are very religious.
Okay.
So when it happens, I don't interrupt.
Okay.
You know. So I got to know. So these are some of the things. So the topic that you are discussing is all-encompassing. It's a topic that is hard, that should not be taken for granted at all.
Yeah.
So if you're a parent and you are listening to us, not only the secondary school, even from the basic school, get involved. All the activities, sometimes get a timetable of your ward or your child.
Okay.
When they are having sports, sometimes you have time pass there. When they are having these displays, cultural displays or recitals, and you know your child is on the bill, parents, you have time pass by. When the child is, you see a light, you see the sparkle in the eyes, you see the money is there. You know, and sometimes we run away with, we go around with work, you know, as you know.
Yeah.
You know, we work hard when we are 60, then we come back to the same children we neglected.
Mercy.
You see, the irony of life. You know, so this is my little bit because of time.
Yes.
Let me see if there's any more question, then I can be able to support.
All right. So finally, before you leave, you mentioned visiting your child, especially during what do you call it? Visiting days.
Yes.
What should be the relationship between the parents? Let's look at those at the boarding school, for example. What should parents do when their wards are in the boarding? What are 1, 2, 3 that they should do?
Oh, of course, there are house staff who take care of the children in the boarding houses.
Okay.
You have to befriend them.
Oh, great.
So that they can take good care of your child for you.
Okay.
Because they are like the parasite, whatever we call it. The parent, you in the house, in the boarding house. All right. Therefore, you need to know them, get their contact, periodically or frequently or once a while,
yeah,
you can talk to the person to check on your child.
Okay.
For Achimota, we have phones in all the houses.
Yes.
All right. So we have periods where the children they intend call their parents if they need anything, and then pardon me.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So in Achimota school, there we are friends with all the parents.
To the Transformation Agenda series on
very
education.
welcoming. Parents know what we can do for them and for their wards.
Okay.
Yeah. But those who don't have, the counselors are also there. Even the teachers are even parents for the children. Yes, we take care of them, going to the hospital and everything, just as our own. Yes.
Yes, I remember once Miss Felicia Doe. I think the assistant head mistress for Stockport House. Yes, my daughter was sick and she called. Yes, it was late in the evening, and she called me and she said she has to go and take her to the pharmacy, or I think something like that. And she bought the medicine with her money and took care of her until yes. So I think I understand what you're saying. Okay, so Reverend Father Ernest Ajiman, God bless you so much for getting to us. We appreciate you. We are praying that one of these days they will allow you to come in studio and they will have a broader discussion on this topic. Once you're a counselor, we'll also be grateful to have you to talk to us about how some of the challenges that students have that you've dealt with, and then so that parents are aware of some of the things that they should also look at in terms of bringing up their children. So we are grateful to you, sir. God bless you, sir.
Good morning to our listeners.
Thank you very much. So that was Reverend Father Ernest Ajiman, who is an Anglican priest at the Holy Trinity Cathedral and then head chaplain at Achimota School, and also he is the school counselor. Laurisha, I think we have a message. Can you read that for us? You can join us. We have a few minutes to leave. You can join us on 0302 20 80 80 0302 20 80 80. Thank you. Okay, so Laurentia.
Yes, so we have this message from Mr. Game. The role of parents in the education of their children is a discourse that needs to be brought to the doorsteps of every parent.
Yeah.
I believe that naturally, every parent, whether single or a couple, has a natural desire to see their children succeed. However, factors such as poverty, irresponsibility of parents, peer pressure from youth, a weak society that does not have the tenacity to steer the youth in the right direction are some factors that thwart the desire of many parents. To complement the role of parents in the education of their children, robust counseling centers should be established and parents should be educated to know their roles. So yes, that was from Mr. Game.
Well, you see, I think one mistake that we're making is where we say we are busy, we don't have the time. It's not right.
It's very,
I mean, your child is in school. It's not every day you go. Just on a visiting day, you're going for a funeral. You have time to go and buy cloth and so and go for a funeral. You have time to go and visit your friend on Saturday. You have time to do other things. You have time to go to church. You have time to do several things. But just a little time, you need to go to the school to go and encourage your child and also make sure that she's safe, she's okay. You just drop the child at school and you are telling me that you are busy, you don't have the time. And somebody will have the time to groom that child for you if you're not careful. And the funny thing is, where you now grow up, you have all the things you need and you have to be visiting the police station, or because you didn't have time for your child, he finishes school, his grades are not good, he may not find the school that they want to go to or the kind of university they want to enter. And so I think this excuse, I don't have the time, is something that we should be very careful, because when you are sick, when you grow up and you are sitting in that chair, you can't walk. If your child is not well educated, if your child doesn't have a good job because he didn't do well in school, you're going to have a lot of problems for yourself.
A lot of problems. Yeah. And amazingly, I mean, visiting days are usually once in a month.
Once in a month?
Yes.
So what's your excuse? And another thing, Laurentia, I think parents, we must also be careful. You see, when we're in school, there was this guy who was living with a stepmom. And I think the dad has divorced the mother. So the mother was a bit... she wasn't that, let me use this word, borrow it, polished. Okay. And she will come to the school with Fanza Dokwan, just holding. And this guy denied on your mommy but then the stepmother can't because she's driving or because that's the mother. Wow. Some parents think that they can't dress the way they have to, or they are not driving cars, and because some of this, hey, your father comes with a car, your mother. These things are not necessary. If you go and support that child emotionally, it adds something to them. You see, I visited my daughter once at school. When I was late because on Sundays is my working day. When I got to the school around 4 thereabout, that's almost when visiting was done, and I saw the stress on her, and she was like, I knew you would surely come, but deep within there, I knew. I think once I visited with you and you told me that you have seen that it's as if something is wrong with it.
Very worried.
Yes, you see. So what you're saying, which you have to be careful as parents.
And another thing I'd like to say has to do with PTA.
Yes.
I mean, the fact that monies that has to come from PTAs has been cancelled and all that doesn't mean that the PTA meetings itself should be cancelled. Yes. I mean, I always have this concern. Why have the PTA meeting itself been cancelled?
And most parents don't go.
Some don't go, but there are most of parents who do go for these meetings.
Yes.
No matter what, they are stakeholders when it comes to the education sector. You can't take them off. Now, have the meetings, talk to them. I mean, however, even if there are some that can volunteer to even be counselors for some of these children, there are schools without counselors. So some of these parents can volunteer to be counselors for some of these students. And I think it would even help them more. Because to have a parent talking to a child, she would definitely know how to even talk to the child, go about the whole situation. Let our parents be involved with us. I mean, try and get close to our teachers, talk to them.
And I think Reverend Father mentioned that not only those at the boarding house, but even your children visit the school, check their report card, go and ask the teachers how they behave when they are in school, because their behavior in school is a reflection of how they are brought up at home. And so if perhaps you have an attitude that it's being demonstrated by your child at school, at least you'll be informed, and then you know, this thing I do is affecting my child. He's demonstrating or exhibiting it at school and all that. So it's not only that, even at crèche, how a child feels, not only when you grow up, but when you are young and your father visits you at school, it's nice.
It's so amazing. I mean, you always get excited.
And there are fathers too who think mothers should do that, and they are busy looking for money. That is why on Father's Day, nobody is minding us.
That is wrong, but I don't really agree with that. There are some fathers who are really
we have fathers who do well, but majority
like yourself,
of fathers.
I've been with you to visit your children at school most of the time. So there are fathers who are doing so well. So I think, we should do more. We should try to be role models to our children. Let's live a life that our children can emulate from. I mean, where we went to have the International Literacy Day with the reading festival.
Yes,
that is the Edward Akufo-Addo Library. I mean, it has so many books for children, for adults, and all that. Let's get books for our children to read.
Let's get books for our children to read, books that will improve them. All right. So, if you are listening, before we go off, there's this Dynapex Construction and Real Estate Company, and they deal in 8 inches solid and hollow blocks, 6 inches solid and hollow blocks, 5 inches solid and hollow, 4 inches solid, paving blocks, capstone, ceiling blocks, cement and iron rods distribution. Now, if you are building and you want to use the right blocks to put up that building so that you don't have cracks in 2 weeks after the building, you spend so much money buying blocks, and at the end of the day, because the materials are inferior, you're going to have cracks in your building. Now, if you are listening to us and you want a company that will supply with cement, building materials, please, you can call Dynapex Construction and Real Estate on 020 179 8569, 020 179 8589, or you can also get them on 02017 98563, 02017 98563. Please call. Wherever you are, they have a car that will bring whatever you request for. So call Dynapex now and live in that beautiful and strong house, not a house that will be cracking. Some blocks the block molds are not straight, and so you need to put a lot of filler when you are painting or even plastering. But they have machines that are giving you accurate dimensions that can build that house for you. All right, Laurisha, before we leave, what are your final words to a parent who is listening to us this morning?
So my final words to parents would be for them to actually be involved when it comes to the education of their children. Let them try and at least visit them in schools. Be role models for them. Try and give their children, constructive criticisms, and not criticism that is going to discourage the child or dampen the spirit of the child, but those that would encourage the child. Give the child some kind of hope and all that, and also encourage them when it comes to some extra curricular activities that they do. There are children
that's where they build their talents
at home, and then a parent will just tell you, you are making noise. It's bad. They should be able to encourage them.
We have a serious system, serious problem.
They should be able to encourage them when it comes to all those things. I
think we should all go to a parenting school before we start making babies.
Yes, I think it would really help. It would help.
During counseling, I think we should get people who are good at those things. To help people, especially people who have had children and what they've been through, or like we are Reverend Father. Sometimes we could organize town hall meetings, get parents. It should be something that we do, so that we inform parents about some of these things that they need to know, because a lot of people, take some of these things for granted.
Yes. So our parents should be able to, and then our schools should find a way of bringing back PTA, not to be taking PTA monies or something, but just to get the parents involved. Usually with PTAs, whether your child is a day student or a boarder, you are to come, and then you have discussions that has to do with general,
the welfare,
the welfare of your students, the teachers even as well, and the entire school at large. So they should find ways of getting them involved and bringing them together. I think it would help in that sense.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
We want to say a big thank you for doing the listening. Please, if you're a parent, you are listening to us, we beg of you, the next generation depends on you. Spend time with your children and ask what last week we learned, that we don't have to push on them, become this, do that and do that. You're supposed to allow that child to grow. We lack parenting education. We don't have it. All of us just have sex. We get a woman pregnant, that child is born. We just pay their fees, and we think paying fees is all that has to do with raising a child. No, a lot of things you need to do to raise your child. Some of you don't even know. You had a child and you got angry because the man who impregnated you said no, and you send a child to your grandmother at the village. You've not even, some of them even know school. Their children are orphans. They are parents who are living, but they have made their children orphans, because the two of them, the father is living somewhere working. He doesn't even send money to the children. The grandmother or the mother has to go to the farm and work and get food and come and feed his son or daughter, and he's in the city, dressing and going for funerals and partying. Then meanwhile, you have a child in that village that you're not taking care of. And that's very, very, very bad. A lot of parents too are saying that they don't even have money to go and visit their water school and all that. Some say the school is far. One of the things I've learned is that if you want people to see where you are living as far or not, it depends on whether you visit them or not. Because when you go to that school to visit your child, it will look very close to you. And all the time, and that child sees that my mother is involved. She is not in a classroom with me. My father is involved. He's not in a club, but he's part of what I'm doing here. And they try to learn how to please you. But when you leave them, their colleagues will be teaching them lesbianism. They'll be teaching them, push them into gayism. They will push them to things that we frown on, our society frowns on. Your child will come home living in that room, masturbating, because you don't know.
Yes.
And one of the things that saddens my heart is where you have a child who can't talk to you, but will talk to somebody and the person will come and talk to you. So we need to also develop the art of communicating with our children, where some of these things they are able to tell us. Look, that guy, he touched me, he did this, he did that. Some of these small girls, men have been harassing them, but they don't know how to report to their parents, because sometimes we are that kind of thing. I think we should be very careful before we end up losing our children. You know, we can't get to a point where you realize that you end up that you've actually left your children. Certain children, you meet them and you ask yourself, do they have fathers or mothers? Because certain manners, you know, it's like no control. You know, I was watching Jojo Robertson yesterday in an interview granted, and he said, what it's him one yanam. What's it's him one yanam. Whereas you have a child, you just leave them, you don't care about them, they do what they want to do, no control, no direction, no vision, nothing. You don't ask questions, you don't monitor, you don't do anything. It's bad. If your parents, you are listening to us, please, the president is paying for our fees, government is paying for our fees, government is building schools. But if government is building this school, 3 months or 2 months that the children come home, excuse me, the teachers don't come to the house to supervise them whether they are studying or not. So even if the education is free, it is not free when the children go to school. When they come home to it is also your duty and responsibility to make sure the children are learning. Don't leave them to be watching television. At the end of the day, you are going to stand and say free SHS and Kwankwalana bomb. But you didn't even help that child to study.
I think it has to do with this can be related to a post I saw sometime where there is this school that they said before they admit any student into their school, the parents will have to take a math test.
Yeah.
I mean, it was funny, but in a way you could find some sense.
I think we should get to a point where when you are admitting children to school, you should monitor the parents. You should have some kind of questions that parents answers, and then you can trace from the question and know that it's just like a church. If somebody comes to your church and asks you, because somebody joins your church, you should have a form. You ask the person, name the 3 churches that you left, and let them tell you the reasons why they left those churches. One will tell you, the pastor spoke to me in a way I didn't like. The other person will say, I was in the choir, they didn't allow me to lead. It tells you that the person will repeat the same thing in your church. So it gives you an idea of what to do. I think we should get to a point where when children are filling forms, we ask parents certain questions, their answers will betray them, expose them about their weaknesses, and we are able to help them. Anyway, thank you very much for doing the listening. God bless you so much. Next program is helping our children to read. Some of us don't encourage our children to read. We don't encourage our children in reading. So please follow up with the next program. Encourage your children to be reading. If you read, you receive information. If you read, you become great. Great minds are great readers. Thank you very much. I'm Ibrahim Edu. I want to say a big thank you to Uncle George, who's my producer. I want to say a big thank you to my technical director, Uncle Yima Ado. He has Ado to his name, so he's likely to become the next president of Ghana. And then Lauren Shabibi, who was here, Lady Pastor Vanessa Abe, what's the name? Smith, and then also Quest, and also Angel, and all those who are here supporting this program. Thank you very much for doing the listening. I'm going to see you again next week, God willing. And don't forget, we are coming on GTV with the Transformation Agenda Series on Education. You can't miss that program. Stay tuned, and we're going to get in touch with you. Stay blessed and be good. Bye bye.
1.3 FM.